Well, Trekkies and Trekkers, it's time for the final episode review of the day with Where No One Has Gone Before. So, here we go. The Enterprise meets the USS Fearless to bring aboard Mr. Kozinski, a Starfleet propulsion expert who plans to run tests on the warp engines to improve their efficiency. The Riker is suspicious at Kozinski's nonsensical specifications, claiming the apparent success has been on older ships, probably fixing inherent design flaws, while their engines are brand new. With Kozinski as his assistant, an alien being from Tau Alpha C known as the Traveler. As Kozinski and the Traveler explain the test to the engineering crew, Wesley Crusher quickly grasps what the tests are designed to accomplish, and the Traveler expresses admiration for his problem-solving abilities. The test quickly goes awry when the Enterprise speeds up, surpassing the known capabilities of warp engines. Jean-Luc Picard orders the ship stopped, and the crew find themselves on the far side of the M33 galaxy, more than 2.7 million light-years from the Milky Way, the Enterprise's home galaxy. Although Kozinski is pleased with the results, he is reprimanded by Picard and asked to simply redo the process to return home. Crusher attempts to warn Commander Riker that during the warp test, the Traveler appeared to phase, drifting in and out of reality, but Riker dismisses him without listening. Poor Wesley. However, after Kozinski begins the second test, Crusher and Riker both observe the Traveler again drifting out, appearing more tired. The Enterprise again experiences a burst of speed, and when it stops, the crew cannot determine their position. Picard demands that Kozinski get the crew home. Yeah, I would do the same thing too. While Kozinski, the Traveler, and the engineering crew work on reversing the process, the rest of the crew begin experiencing lifelike visions of their past, and affected with the strange space around them. After having a vision of his mother, Picard surmises they have arrived at the theoretical outer rim of the universe, and issues a red alert to awaken the crew from their visions. Finding Picard at the spot where he saw his mother, Riker suggests that Kozinski may have had nothing to do with the warp jumps, which were more likely to be a result of the Traveler's illness. Trying to determine this theory, Picard has the alien moved to sickbay. Dr. Crusher, however, cannot evaluate the Traveler's alien biology and is unable to treat him. When Picard visits him in sickbay, the Traveler explains his ability to channel pure thought into reality. He brought the crew of the Enterprise to the Outer Rim, triggering similar effects in anyone within it to ascertain if they were ready to experience thought as reality. The Traveler confides to Picard that he looks for scientific prodigies such as the young Crusher, and Picard should nurture him. When he returns to the engineering section, the Traveler asks Crusher to assist him in returning the Enterprise to known space. As they concentrate, beginning to return the ship home, the Traveler again phases out and finally disappears. The Enterprise suddenly stops, and the crew is relieved to find themselves back in Federation space. After the incident, Picard finally promotes Crusher to acting ensign, following his own unspoken suggestion in the Naked Now on the Enterprise for his performance. That's interesting. And so anyway, let's look at some production notes here, shall we? The original story for Where No One Has Gone Before was developed before the start of Star Trek The Next Generation, with Michael Reeves and Diane Duane invited to pitch story ideas. Duane did not belong to the Writers Guild of America, a requirement to write for the show at the time, and doubted she would be asked to write a script. Duane and Reeves worked together on several ideas. After a week, Reeves informed Duane that he had developed an idea based on her Star Trek novel The Wounded Sky, and asked her to collaborate with him. She worked on the story idea with Reeves, and they expanded the story slightly from Reeves' original idea. One version of the script involved the Enterprise causing the birth of a new universe, with a play on the Genesis creation narrative. Wonder how that would have gone. They pitched the story editor David Gerrold, who brought them to Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry. Gene favored the story idea, suggesting changes which Reeves and Duane incorporated into a second draft. The episode was now entitled Where No One Has Gone Before, differing significantly from the final version. Kozinski ruined with Picard at Starfleet Academy, fathering a son at that time. The ship's travel differed. The Traveler was replaced by a warp drive booster with a miniature black hole. In this version, The situation was resolved with a second miniature Enterprise imagined and pushed into the black hole on the full-size ship. The interaction of the two black holes, and even a smaller black hole in the miniature Enterprise, returns the full-size ship near the location where it began to travel. After Duane Reeves turned in the first version of the script based on that premise, nothing was heard from the TNG staff for 2 weeks. Yikes. The script was given to Maurice Hurley to rewrite. He took 6 weeks for the rewrite, and his initial version was received poorly by TNG executives. Hurley later said, quote, "They absolutely hated it. I think they wanted to fire me, and they would have if I didn't have a guaranteed contract." He rewrote the script, and this version was filmed. Hurley was pleased with the result, saying that, quote, "Everything about that episode worked." The final version differed significantly from the original Reeves-Duane script. Duane later said that only 2 scenes remained, where Picard sees his mother, and where he nearly falls out of the turbolift into space. Reeves later said that the episode, quote, "came together much better on the screen than we thought it would when we read the script. We were lucky because it was out of our hands." Donald Petrie was originally signed to direct the episode, but dropped out to direct the film Mystic Pizza. Executive producer Robert Justman brought in Rob Bowman to direct his first Star Trek episode. Justman later said that this was one of his most significant achievements on The Next Generation. Bowman worked on storyboards and set blocking for 20 days before shooting the episode. He was initially nervous about working on the show, and felt he had to prove himself because of his relative inexperience as a director. Bowman said that after the second day of filming it became easier, and credited the crew with making him feel welcome. He went on to direct 12 more episodes of The Next Generation. Awesome! Eric Menyuk was cast as a traveler. The actor had previously been runner-up for the role of Data several weeks earlier. The role went to Brent Spiner, obviously. He was a Star Trek fan since age 6, and later returns to travel twice more in Remember Me and Journey's End. Menyuk's return in Journey's End would also mark the last on-screen appearance of Wesley Crusher. Biff Yeager made his Next Generation debut in Where No One Has Gone Before as Chief Engineer Argyle, who would become the most frequently appearing Chief Engineer of the first season, appearing twice. Geordi LaForge took over that role in the first season of Episode 2, The Child. Stuntman Dangerous Dennis Madalone also made a serious debut as the ensign threatened by his own imagined fire. From Season 3 onwards, he was stunt coordinator for The Next Generation, and continued to portray a number of crew members. Viewers learned Picard's mother's first name in Chain of Command. She was played in Where No One Has Gone Before by Herta Ware, who appeared in the 1985 science fiction film Cocoon, which, by the way, I have seen, and is a pretty darn good movie, if I do say so myself. Some effects in the episode were created in Robert Legato's basement with water reflections and Christmas tree lights. The script was vague about what was seen at the end of the universe, so Legato played with the effects of water reflections on his basement wall. Shooting through a Bopet film, he created multiple images which were layered over one another for the final effect, which Legato described as, quote, "peculiar and bizarre." Christmas tree lights were suspended and moved to create the blinking effect seen on screen. Interesting. The Klingon Targ was created by dressing a tamed wild boar named Emmylou in an outfit created by costume designer William Ware Theus. Executive producer Robert Justman later recalled, quote, "That pig smelled horrid, a sweet, sour, extremely pungent odor. I showered, and it took me a week to get rid of it." To appear as the Traveler, Eric Menyuk wore a prosthetic piece, created by Michael Westmore, on his forehead, which ran into his hairline. He also wore a pair of false three-fingered hands, which were sold in the It's a Wrap auction after the end of Star Trek Enterprise. The Sharva costume was also sold at the auction. Interesting. Where No One Has Gone Before was the second episode, scored by Ron Jones. Some themes of the soundtrack were rearrangements of Jerry Goldsmith's score from Star Trek The Motion Picture. In the piece Talk with Mom, played during Picard's meeting with his mother, Jones tried to create an effect identical to the final appearance of Aaron Copland's 1944 Appalachian Spring. Alexander Courage's themes from the original series are included in his 7-note ostinato in the pieces Log, Visitors, and Flyby. The score was recorded with a 40-piece orchestra. Jones formatted the orchestra to generate a bigger sound than normally heard on television soundtracks to make it sound more like Goldsmith's The Motion Picture Score. Keyboards were used to make the cellos more prominent, and other changes included an increase in the mid-range of the string section. The soundtrack to Where No One Has Gone Before was released as part of the Ron Jones Project box set of Star Trek The Next Generation scores, a limited run of 5,000 copies in 2010 by Film Score Monthly. So overall, this was an interesting episode, and the first appearance of the Traveler is actually pretty darn cool. So overall, I give Where No One Has Gone Before 4 warp cores out of 5. Well, join me tomorrow as we take a look at the first episode. We're going to review Lonely Among Us. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.